The warden threw a stone, but to his surprise, it made a strange echo. He went up to look at it carefully, and found that the stone had penetrated the newspaper. He pulled the newspaper off the wall. He realized that a passage had appeared in front of him. Someone has escaped. The warden sent out a team to look for the escaped prisoner. It wasn't long before they found a prison uniform in a ditch outside the prison. They also found his escape weapon, a small, rusty stone hammer. No one would have guessed that this shocking escape would take a man 19 years. In 1947, a new group of inmates arrived at the prison, and the inmates were very excited, because it was customary. They would bet on who would be the first to break out. A lot of them chose the fat guy, but Reed chose tall, skinny Andy. As the newcomers were brought into the prison, they were hosed down with a high-pressure water jet. Then they're sprinkled with antiseptic powder all over their bodies. The first day in prison is always a tough one. Every inmate knows it. But what Reed didn't expect, this time he made the wrong bet. Weak Andy didn't say a word all night. Instead, it was the fat little man who started to cry.
God, I don't belong here.
We have a winner!
I want to go home.
And it's fat ass by a nose!
The noise of the prison soon attracted the guards. In order to set rules for the newcomers, they dragged the fat man out of the cell. Then they beat him up.
If I hear so much as a mouse fart in here the rest of the night, I swear by God and Sonny Jesus, you will all visit the infirmary. Every last motherfucker in here.
The next morning, the crowd received the news. Because of the lack of medical treatment, Fatty passed away last night. While everyone was in silence, Andy couldn't help but ask questions.
What was his name?
Fuck do you care, new fish? Doesn't fucking matter what his name was, he's dead.
That was the day Reed became curious about the newcomer. After asking around, Andy was a vice president of a bank. Until the day he found out his wife was cheating on him. Angry Andy wanted to take care of both of them, but before he could do so, his wife and her lover collapsed in their home. Taken to court, Andy was somehow made the scapegoat. The judge sentenced him to life in prison. Like most people, Andy was a bit quiet for a newcomer. Until a month went by, Andy reached out to Reed. He asked him to bring in a hammer for him, as the prisons know it all. Reed could get his hands on anything, but he warned Andy not to try to break out, because the prison is constantly raided. But Andy told him he just liked to carve. At first, Reed was a little uneasy, but when he saw this hammer, he was instantly disarmed, because if he used this to dig a tunnel, he might not be able to escape in 600 years. So under Reed's arrangement, this hammer was sent to Andy. Life in prison was not peaceful, even though Andy never messed with anyone, but because of his good looks, he was often harassed by others. For 2 years, Andy always had scars on his face, but he never told anyone, until this day. The roof of the factory outside the prison needed renovating. The warden was ready to pull 12 men over. Through Reed's backroom dealings, his own brothers got their places without a hitch. To Andy's surprise, he was on the list. That day, Andy was doing his job when he heard the sheriff complaining. He's upset about the high inheritance tax. When he heard that, Andy